I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the invocation.
Since our government is funded with a balanced budget and we're open, I ask everybody to bow their heads with me. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be here this evening to help make decisions on behalf of our community. We know there are a lot out there suffering with the government shutdown, Lord, and we pray that it can end soon. And we just pray that our decisions tonight are sound and for the betterment of our community, and that we do it, as always, civilly and respectfully. As always, please be with our first responders, our military serving at home and abroad. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Franzen. Welcome to the regular November meeting of the Independence City Council. As you can see, we have an impressive cadre of Independence finest out here, which generally means we have something to recognize, and we've got something, we do indeed have something to recognize. But before we get to that, Madam Clerk, roll call of members, please.
Mr. Brinker?
Here.
Mr. Baylor?
Here.
Mrs. Franzen?
Here.
Mr. Steffen?
Here.
Mr. Vogelpohl?
Here.
Mr. Waite?
Here.
All right, sounds like we have all present and accounted for. Change that. We have a quorum, so we will go ahead and move forward. Next item of business is the approval of our council minutes from our regular meeting of October 6th. This council had the opportunity to review those minutes, and if so, any concerns, requests for potential corrections or clarification? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Second.
Okay, I've got a motion from Councilmember Waite, second from Councilmember Failor. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Thank you. All right, before we get into our audit presentation, we do want to take an opportunity to recognize a couple of our officers. I can't say that anytime we do this, we're so fortunate with the police department we have, and I think this community understands it. I hear it regularly. I see it, of just the outstanding work the Independence Police Department does. So anytime we recognize something very worthwhile, but I will tell you, I hate to say over-impressed, because we've had a couple of lives saved in the last year, some very significant things. But this one is pretty impressive in that a couple of our officers found something, moved forward on it, initiated with them, and then with the help of the Northern Kentucky Drug Strike Force and others, moved on to something that actually affected change in statute. And this wasn't a policy thing. This wasn't a better way to do things. It was something that will save more lives. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. Earlier this year, Officer Sam Collins notified the Northern Kentucky Drug Task Force that he had recovered approximately 200 suspected pressed Xanax pills from a non-fatal overdose within the city. Officer Collins, along with Officer Cole O'Brien, then conducted a thorough investigation into the overdose and promptly relayed critical information to the Northern Kentucky Drug Strike Force. Over the next several months, members of the strike force recovered additional quantities of these counterfeit pills. Laboratory analysis confirmed the pills to contain bromozolam. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Zolam. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but it's close enough. You may not know it because it was not a scheduled narcotic in Kentucky. But recovered it, determined it contains that, and the thing is, this drug mimics the effects of prescription Xanax, but is not approved for medical use in the United States. Our Attorney General, Russell Coleman, has talked about it, noted that it poses an especially lethal threat when combined with opioids or other depressants. It was linked to 47 overdose deaths in Kentucky in 2024. At the time of the investigation, bromozolam, as I said, was not a scheduled narcotic under Kentucky law. The evidence collected through Officer Collins and Officer O'Brien's investigation and the subsequent Northern Kentucky Drug Strike Force investigation directly addressed the trafficking of this emerging substance and played a role in prompting legislative action to criminalize bromozolam and similar compounds. Significance of this investigation has been featured in both state and national news outlets, further highlighting the importance of the work initiated by Officer Sam Collins and Officer Cole O'Brien. Initiative and investigative diligence demonstrated by Officer Collins and Officer O'Brien not only resulted in multiple arrests, but also, I'm sorry, I just told you that, didn't I? It is, for this reason, we're here tonight. What we want to do is recognize Officer Collins and Officer O'Brien. They're being presented the Criminal Investigation Award by the American Police Hall of Fame. But I'm going to come around to present these awards, and I would ask Officer Collins and Officer O'Brien to come forward, and feel free to applaud now and applaud after. Come around this way. Come here, son. So good, folks. Let's hear it. You know, we talk about the life-saving, and I mentioned with the other life-saving awards we've had, but, you know, this is another case of we don't know the number of lives that will potentially be saved because of these actions. But before I finish, I also want to recognize we are fortunate enough to have the Northern Kentucky Drug Strike Force in our community. They do outstanding work. We have had officers involved at various times with the strike force. I won't go into much more detail than that, but suffice to say we work closely with them. They've done some amazing work in the city. And so very much appreciate their efforts, but also very honored to have Director Hartcorn of the Northern Kentucky Drug Strike Force here with us this evening. So I think he certainly deserves a round of applause as well. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the outstanding work you all do in our community.
Thank you for the cooperation. We love it. Independence is great, and we have an awesome relationship with the entire city and police department. It couldn't be better.
I love to hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. All right.
I guess they don't want to hear the audit.
All right. Well, now our good friend John Chamberlain, our auditor. I don't know how you follow that, but I'm sure you do a spectacular job. And I know our discussion last year, we weren't able to get you in to present until December, and we discussed, you know, festive attire. I just want to point out to you, got my my fall tie on, so.
Yeah, Mayor, I know the reason you put me off, or you brought me in early this year, because you heard that I had bought a Christmas sweater this year, because I didn't have one previously.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm just.
And so you were afraid that I was going to show you up, and, you know, I respect that you used your mayoral powers to move me up in the to get me here a month early, so.
What's the point of having a
You know,
gavel
what's the
if you
point
can't
of
take
having those
advantage of it?
powers if you can't use them for something like that, you know?
That's right, that's right. Hey, you know what, my friend, I'm just trying to help you step up your game. I mean, you have a Christmas sweater now that you never had, so it's
That's
working.
right, that's right. I do indeed. Thank you very much. My name's John Chamberlain. I'm a CPA and partner at Chamberlain Owen and Company, and we're a CPA firm in Erlanger that specializes in audits of governmental entities and municipalities. And we appreciate the opportunity to be here in Independence this evening and do the work for you again this year. I have to start off by giving significant kudos to your finance director, Rachel Gibson. She is just, you know, a city this size, to have a finance director of her level, of her quality is just phenomenal. And she does very good work, and you will see that as we do our audit presentation. And I'll try to point out a couple of the Rachel things in the audit presentation. But I wanted to make sure I got that out of the way ahead of time, so I didn't forget it. but we really appreciate what she does for us and makes our job a whole lot easier. Let's jump right in. There's a slide presentation on the screen, and that's what I'm going to be referring to this evening. Rachel wanted me to read the entire set of financial statements, like all 60 pages, word for word, but I thought, no, this would probably be better just if we could do it in a little quicker method that you'd probably appreciate that. So let's start off with our audit opinion. This is what we call an unmodified opinion, meaning there are no modifications to the opinion, and that we believe that your financial statements are fairly presented within all material respects. And that's the highest opinion that we give. That's what you want from us. As a part of every governmental audit, we do a review of internal controls. We want to make sure that you have the appropriate segregation of duties, appropriate financial reporting controls, and so we do that. We make those, we review those with every audit that we do, and we had no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control. That means you had appropriate segregation set up so that your riskiest assets are protected. As a part of every governmental audit, we also do a review of compliance. This is compliance with any bond or debt compliance that you might have, compliance with SERS, with state law, with Kentucky Revised Statutes, and we had no issues of non-compliance to report. We do make 2 planned audit adjustments each year here. And those are just adjustments to your government-wide financial statements. These don't affect your budget. They're just a part of your reporting for your audited financial statements. And that is to, we made a $623,000 net benefit, which is almost like you can think of it as a revenue, to pensions, and a $548,000 net benefit to your OPEB account. Both your pensions and your OPEB liabilities are decreasing. Ever since SERS was gone to an independent board, it's performed much better. And then the stock market obviously is a big part of how SERS valuation is set, and stock market performance has helped that. So we did make 2 pretty significant adjustments to reduce your SERS liability. And then we make 1 planned adjustment every year that Rachel has us do, where we make a payroll tax adjustment there for the second quarter. We have no management comments. This pains me because I like to give management comments, but after we gave some last year, the city jumped right on those items. I think you're now getting financial statements in your monthly meetings. Is that correct? And so, that was one of the things that we instituted last year, and and the city's done a nice job taking those statements that we gave last year and instituting those items. And so, again, that's another Rachel when we don't have management comments to issue, so we really appreciate that.
My wardrobe comments won't encourage you working harder to find a management letter next time, will it?
Okay, I will try hard. I'll try to find something next year. This is your cash asset investment comparison. This is the last 4 years. Your total assets, that's the kind of the blue bar, right at about $49 million. That increased about $2.1 million from the prior year, about a 4% increase. Your capital assets, the yellow bar, about $22.5 million. That increased about $372,000 over the past year, about a 1.7% increase. Cash and equivalents increased about almost $2 million, $1.9 million. Up to about $12.5 million, up from about $10.6 last year, about a 17% increase. And then investments increased about $420,000 at $8.3 million, up from about $7.8 million last year, about a 5% increase. So good return on investment. The GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, has just a general rule of thumb for municipalities that they have somewhere between 3 and 6 months of operating expenses, so held in cash. So whatever your operating expenses are, yours are right at $12 million this year. So 3 months would be $3 million, 6 months about $6 million. So they recommend $3 to $6 million held in reserve for a city. And so As you can see, you've got about $20.8 million, almost $21 million in cash and investments, so about a 21-month reserve. Primary reason for cash increase was about $1.3 million less in capital assets expenditures this year than you had last year, and you'll see that. That'll be a theme throughout my presentation. So that's a very strong cash position. I'm sure you're familiar with, you may or may not know that you're in the process of doing a budget stabilization fund and a emergency reserve ordinance that's coming up here in the next few months. And so you'll start to see some of those unrestricted funds that you have that are sitting there as unrestricted. You're going to have a budget stabilization and an emergency reserve funds that are being held that'll reduce that amount down. But that'll be more closely aligned to the GFOA numbers. This is your liabilities comparison for the city. And you can see the total liabilities decreased about $3.5 million from 15.3 to 11.8 million. Yellow is your current liabilities. That's the current portion of that's your accounts payables, your current portion of your bond payable, remainder of any opioid funds that you had, or remainder of ARPA funds, I'm sorry, that you had. About a $1.3 million decrease. You recognized about $690,000 in ARPA funds this year, and so that's pretty much going away. I think that's gone away completely now. And then red is your long-term debt. That's the long-term portion of the bond. You've got one more bond payment. You may have, or two more bond payments? Okay. But there's not very many, and yeah, there's a current and a long-term. So there's one in the long-term and one in the current. Thank you, Rachel. And so you're just about done with that bond, so that should be exciting for you. And then the rest of it is your compensated absences that are due to employees. And then the orange is your net pension and OPEB liability. That decreased $1.8 million, almost $2 million, from 11.9 to 10.1 million. And that's really, as I said, due to market conditions, the valuation of that portfolio, that type of thing. We'll probably see this decrease again next year, which is an interesting trend because it will be measured at June 30th, 2025. So the 26 number will be measured at June 30th, 25. Market's still strong at 25. So we expect to see this drop again next year. So that number is really starting to become a more reasonable numbers for all of our entities. This next slide is revenues versus expenditures. And you can see the net difference between those two numbers right at about $3.87 million. That's an increase in fund balance. That's about the same as it was in 2024. The revenues at $16.3 million, down about $643,000 from last year. Last year, you recognized and expended about $3.3 million in ARPA funds as an intergovernmental revenue. Again, that's one of those things, one of the themes you'll hear me talk about. You didn't have that this year, so lower revenues there. Expenditures down right at $983,000, down to $12.1 million, about a 7.5% decrease, and again, $1.3 million less in capital outlay this year than you had last year. In 2024, you had several very large projects that you were working on, and those were completed in 24 or in 25, so it had a lot less expenditures on those. Again, total revenues, $16.3 million. So varied sources. Total revenues down about 3.8%. Property taxes at $5.47 million, up about $225,000, or a 4.3% increase. This is from new growth in the city, increased valuations, not from property tax increase. So it's from increased valuations and new growth. Payroll taxes, $5.859 million, up about $868,000, about a 17% increase, and that's from growth in payroll in the city.
If I could interrupt you there, just
Sure.
because I like to point to this as much as I possibly can. Notice that the payroll tax bar is longer than the property tax bar. I know I've gone on and on about this over the last year. but I am just so proud of the fact that we've gotten to a point where our primary source of revenue is now payroll taxes rather than the property taxes that it was 10 years ago, and, well, all the way up until last year, but it was a 50% 10 years ago and or beyond, so. Yeah, happy to be there, sorry, I just
Nope.
like to go on and on about it as much as I possibly can.
No problem.
Thanks to everybody up here for making that happen.
The red bar is intergovernmental revenues, right at about $1.8 million. Again, that's down about $2.6 million, about 58%. Again, you had about $3 million in ARPA funds that you recognized last year. So last year was more extraordinary than this year. Franchise fee revenue, right about $1.2 million, up about $73,000. And investment income, about $883,000, up about $235,000. More cash in the bank, not spending as much as, you notice that that increase you had in cash drove the increase in investment income. Total expenditures, right at $12 million, about a 7.5% decrease over the prior year. Public safety, by far your largest, at $5.4 million, about a 6.5% increase over the prior year. That's up about $332,000. General government, right at about $2.5 million, a 7.6% increase. And then capital outlay at $1.7 million. Again, back to my theme, down about 42%. That was about $3 million last year. You did have some significant projects that were completed this year. Hunters Green Phase 1 and 2, Memorial Park Amphitheater, Carryway, and you bought 5 police vehicles. So about a significant amount of capital outlay items this year. And then Public Works at $1.7 million, down about $229,000. Public Works jumps all around based on road projects and how we treat resurfacing roads. And so that's the most, that number is hard to pin down. So we always, because we always include, when you resurface streets, we don't put them in capital works, capital assets necessarily. We include it just in public works. So these next couple of slides are just some comparison over the last 4 years for some of your larger expenditures. And these do include some departmental capital outlays, so they kind of jump around a little bit. But you see general government expenditures right at about $2.5 million, again about a 7.2% decrease over the prior year. But you can see those numbers don't flail around wildly, very consistent over the last 4 years. Public safety obviously increased pretty significantly from 22 to 25. And again, those do include some capital asset purchases, but those are in the 200,000 range, they're not huge. So about 6.7% increase. And public works expenditures, these are the ones that really jump around, as I mentioned, right at $3 million again, including capital asset purchases. That's the meat of my presentation. I'd be happy to entertain any questions. I think you've all received financial statements. If you have questions on the financial statements themselves, I'm happy to answer those questions. Or if you want to send a question through Rachel to me, you can do that as well.
Any questions from Mr. Chamberlain? Well, thank you, sir. We very much appreciate your work. I will second your comments regarding our finance director, Ms. Gibson. I feel like we were in good shape before, but certainly over the last 3 years, what she has brought to the table, the suggestions she's made have been, just really made us up our game. And where we can look at numbers like that, due in no small part to her outstanding work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right. I'm going to insert an item on our agenda here. Wasn't on here, but privilege of the floor. We've got Mr. Dan Berger. Mr. Berger, some of you probably know, as a volunteer with our Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association, very active with that, and he has asked to address council. We spoke a couple of weeks ago, and he had asked to come in and talk to you. So, Mr. Berger, the floor is yours if you'd like to step up. Mr. Berge, I'm sorry, I just call you Dan. I never paid that much attention to the last name, my apologies. And council, by the way, you do also have a, yeah, we have a letter also from Mr. Berge.
Mayor, Administrator, City Administrator, and Council, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Dan Berge, and I live at 3164 Tennyson Place over in Manor Hill. Tonight, I asked Council to consider changes to Ordinance 2015-0-05 and Parking Regulation 72.06, including enforcement. I'll highlight the document that's in front of you tonight and kind of center on the important points. First of all, we try to hold our community to the highest standards possible by maintaining the grounds and including structures and enforcing the HOA covenants. Mike Worst, who's here tonight, and I are both on the HOA Maintenance Committee, and we do numerous things to keep the community updated for improvements in the park, common areas, park benches, pavilion. We're installing decorative stop signs. We put one in this morning. We're replacing faded stop signs, the decals that wear out over time, putting up park surveillance cameras and cutting down dead trees that are in the park so they don't become a danger to our residents or visitors. However, nuisance parking on city-maintained streets in our neighborhood is not in our control. If you look up Webster, it says being a nuisance is being an annoyance or a source of trouble. It implies something that causes inconvenience, irritation, or disruption to others. There's also a reference in regulation, 93.16, public nuisance defined, and it basically talks about the following acts that include omissions, behavior, conditions that shall constitute a public nuisance, any act or thing, occupation, condition, etc. Substantially annoy, injure, or endanger the comfort, health, repose, or safety of the public, unlawfully and substantially interfere with obstruct, intend to obstruct, or render dangerous for any passage in the streets. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on because I have some examples. The City of Independence Nuisance Code is designed to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of all of our citizens. And it is designed to prohibit public nuisances that substantially annoy, injure, harm, endanger the public, or unlawfully substantially interfere with the use and the enjoyment of our private or public property. Specifically, Parking Ordinance 2015-05 is an amendment to the regulations which essentially increased the time to 72 hours. It was passed on March 2nd, 2015, and designates such vehicles as abandoned and subject to city regulations concerning abandoned vehicles. Then Regulation 72.06 is parking in excess of a certain number of hours prohibited, and then towing is authorized. It states that it shall be unlawful for anyone to park in any one place any longer than shall be deemed abandoned and shall be subject to the regulations of the city. There was an article written in Link, Northern Kentucky Link magazine, January 6, 2024, by Nathan Granger that says, he quotes, "As it stands, city law does not allow people to park boats, campers, and other large trailers on public streets." I also found that in Independence, Kentucky, it's illegal to park campers on public streets in the city of Independence for more than 72 hours. For residents, residential storage, these vehicles are restricted to the rear yard. Temporary storage is in the front yard or side yard is allowed for 72 hours for purposes of just unloading, washing, but the vehicle must then be moved after 72 hours. The issue that presents us is the 7206 is the term "in any one place," and the difficulty it is to enforce that. It's no longer legal, as we all know, to chalk or place a coin on a tire. Regardless, any one place is still a nuisance because the vehicle's length is on the same street location, no matter where it's moved, especially when it's obstructing the view of other residents or creating a public safety issue. Also reference 93.01, purpose and the intent of KRS 65.8801 and to 658839 to protect, promote, and improve the health and safety and welfare of the citizens residing within the local governments of the state. So we feel that 2015-05-05 2050-05 and 7206 are too lenient, difficult to enforce, and don't serve our community well. As written, it encourages people to be a nuisance. City streets are a reflection of our community, so therefore we ask council to amend these two and omit in any one place. Here are 4 examples of violations where in our neighborhood that have been used for personal convenience and free parking and not enforced. For at least 4 years, a 1950 Chevrolet gray coupe has been habitually parked on the neighborhood streets. Despite numerous complaints and officer responses, it rarely moves. Officers have informed the owner of the 72-hour parking regulation, but it's ignored until another complaint comes in. The vehicle has been parked on Windermere in one place since the week of 8/10/25, and on 10/27/25, about a month and a half later, it was moved to Burbridge Trail. It is now covered in a tarp, assumed for winter, but this morning I noticed the tarp was off the car. It's a nuisance and an eyesore. Last year, a resident parked a panel van on Windermere Hill, and for an extended period of time, officers responded and advised the owner to move it a short distance every 3 days. This only encourages the owners to work the system, but it's still a nuisance. This summer, a large fifth-wheel camper was parked on Burbridge Trail for more than a month, contrary to what the officers were told. Complaints were called in some cases, dispatch had no record of the call when followed up. Officers reported that the owners said they were getting ready to go on vacation. Meanwhile, it sat there in one place for about another week. In Independence, again, it's illegal to park campers on public streets in the city of Independence for more than 72 continuous hours. And I know it hadn't been moved. The city's ordinance prohibits parking trailers on any street or public way for no longer than this period. The fifth-wheel camper is not only a nuisance violation, but it's a danger to the community. It's about 75 feet long when you include the truck. You can't easily see around it. Traffic has to move into the other lane to clear in its close proximity to a corner of an intersection. It also creates a blind spot and a safety issue where kids commonly ride their bikes. The owner knows this because he puts a triangular reflector out at night in the middle of the street. So also reference section 9.3, vision clearance at corners, where no vehicle shall be placed or retained in such a manner that would create a traffic hazard or would obstruct the vision clearance at corners. Another example of a nuisance is coming up Windermere Hill. The people at 3180 have a lot of people living there, and the cars parked close to Marshall. With the city administrator's help, we got a sign put up to no parking sign between a point and Marshall Road, but we feel it needs to move up a little bit further, about 50 feet. So the city agreed to do that after the neighborhood sidewalk is put in. And doing that will give traffic entering the neighborhood the necessary safe sight line needed to pass without obstruction and not having to swerve to avoid another vehicle leaving. Many residents have complained about this nuisance. We can all agree that parking violations and regulations are a nuisance and has its enforcement challenges. Many cities now use less intrusive methods such as timestamp photos of a vehicle's tire, automated license plate readers, and cameras to track parking durations. Officer warnings usually fall on deaf ears. Parking complaints are low. That's another thing. 1.4% of the July calls, or 34 out of 2,035, were parking that matters to deal with. In summary, we ask that these nuisances be enforced, perhaps using less intrusive methods for the safety of our neighbors, children, and visitors. We believe amending the regulations will enable IPD to better enforce the regulations, reduce the number of parking runs, and make our neighborhoods safer. People get numb to warnings, they push the envelope, and continue to ignore the rules. Citations generally get attention, but a small fine is still cheaper than storage fees. Towing vehicles at the owner's expense does get attention. So in closing, How are the parking regulations enforced on other city-maintained streets, such as Stevens, Oliver, and Pelly Road? And why should Manor Hill streets be any different? City parking regulations are written for a reason and should be enforced. What good does it do to call a complaint if it's not enforced? So with that, we hope council will seriously consider a solution for the benefit and the safety of our Manor Hill residents and visitors. With that, I want to thank you again for allowing me to speak.
We appreciate your comments, sir. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Berge? This has been a challenging issue that we've dealt with over the years, and we've adjusted back and forth, and there's different feelings on it. I think the primary intent of this ordinance is to keep abandoned vehicles off the streets, but also certainly that it's not, somebody doesn't leave their vehicle there for months and things like that. The challenge, of course, is there is an expectation of parking on the streets. You've got a lot of families that, maybe have a couple of teenagers or whatever, and, don't have sufficient driveway parking. I know you reference roads like Pelly Road and Oliver and Stevens, and those are all collector roads that, we don't allow parking on those streets, and in addition, those particular streets are more narrow roads. The modern subdivision streets are built so that one lane can be parking on one side, and then with two-way traffic. I mentioned that in a column several years ago where people will pull over and get behind, they're afraid to drive down the parking side of the road, but the reality of it is these streets are specifically designed for traffic to be able to pass. With that said, we've struggling with and I know the police department struggles with the vehicles, the 72 hours, the 48 hours, with the variant ones trying to voice that. I wasn't aware that marking tires you're no longer allowed to do that, Chief?
Yeah, there have been some complaints lodged against people for that, and some agencies no longer do it because of that reason.
Okay.
They say people are complaining that there was damage to their cars and things like that when you mark them, and like I said, it's just something we don't really do any longer because of the complaints that have come in because of it. And we have changed. We've had 24-hour parking since I've been here. We've had 48-hour. We've had 72. We go back and forth because you have to weigh the needs of the person who's complaining and contacting us about it, and then the rights of the person who actually parked on the street. So we've gone back and forth with those time periods several times since I've been here.
Can we stop campers from parking on the street?
I thought that was included in our trailer ordinance that we redid.
I'm just wondering if legally we can stop it.
Because we just redid that ordinance, that's probably where the citation comes from, 2024. I can't remember when it was.
Yeah, which was probably a couple of years ago, 2023, 24.
So would that not be a PDS? Or, I'm sorry,
A code
enforcement
violation. I think that would be a still parking violation, would fall to the police department.
What would?
Parking on the streets, campers, trailers that are parked illegally on the street, that would be a.
Yeah, and like he kind of mentioned before, is, we have to kind of take the people's word for it. If they're like, because I believe the ordinance does say you can have it on the street for a certain amount of time while you're in the process of utilizing it. And indefinitely people are going to say, yeah, we're getting ready to use it. And again, is it a week? Is it a month? How long does it take somebody to get that? We don't really have a very good understanding of how long it is just by the interaction we have with those people. So we would have to basically take their word for it and then combine it with the complaint, which is why we generally orange sticker vehicles that have been there for extended periods of time, and we just put a date on it, and then we'll know it's been past the 72 hours, it's been past the week, whatever it is that the ordinance specifies.
So is there something that we could do, number one? Like I said, we need to check.
I could have swore it was in there, Carol, that
Yeah.
you cannot keep a camper.
That's correct.
On the street.
That is
period.
correct.
And then is there something that we can,
So then,
obviously we have to do it according to state law, but could we do something where you can't just move your car inches, you have to physically move it? Like you have to get it out of the spot? I don't know what can we do that?
Yeah, I mean, again,
Would
it's just
that-
gonna be what the police would be comfortable forcing.
It's not gonna stop them from bringing
I was
it
gonna say, I've
back.
personally never seen an ordinance like that, but you certainly could say that, it has to be moved 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet. but then you now just have somebody jockeying between two houses parking. Again, I
I'm moving
really,
it around the corner.
I think the intent of this ordinance, or at least the way it's written, I would agree with the mayor, it's trying to avoid the abandoned cars. I don't think that this ordinance was intended to stop regular parking. So I think if council's wish was to stop regular parking,
I don't know how we can do that. I don't know how we can tell somebody they can't park on the street that their tax dollars pay for.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I'll
no,
say-
and I do agree with that. I do feel like we can't ban parking on subdivision streets.
So you're saying the 50 Chevy that's been parked there for ever
Yeah.
hardly gets moved, gets a tarp put on in the winter. The guy's using it as a free parking spot and not paying any towing or storage fees. I don't agree with
Does
that.
the tires have like, are the tires flat or anything on it? Because there was a car on my street that was parked there forever. And I'll be honest with you, I live towards the bottom, and when I would go up, I wouldn't even notice it. But the neighbor across the street complained about it to me, and then I noticed that it had 4 flat tires. And then the police came and they towed it away. The owner of the car eventually towed it away the next day because the police said something to him. So is that car
No.
have flat tires or anything?
No, it's actually drivable, but it doesn't move very often.
Yeah, it sounds like they are intentionally, that is where they store their
Absolutely,
vehicle.
that's
I mean,
where they
if they're
store the
covering it.
vehicle,
Yeah.
and I think it's wrong.
Especially if
Right.
they're putting a tarp on it.
but I think that would violate the spirit of the current ordinance. I mean, if there's a tarp on it, and they're just moving it every 4th day or 5th day to kind of avoid the ordinance.
Not doing
Not
that.
even moving it?
Not even moving it.
I mean, I don't know what
I
our
live
chief's
close there, I
thought of
walk
that
all the
is, or
time.
It might be a
doesn't-
code enforcement
It
violation.
doesn't move.
Could we add some wording to the ordinance to say, something to the effect of that can't be covered where it's obviously being used for storage?
If you're gonna cover a vehicle, it has to be parked in your driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we do have a large issue. In this particular case, they're covering it, but I think the bigger issue is other vehicles that are just being parked and left there for days or weeks
Yeah.
on end.
Yeah.
That's just the extreme example that you can tell that
Yeah.
he clearly is planning to use it for storage.
I would say majority of the cars park, people leave in the morning, they come back at night, and there's really no major issue. It's a few that's abusing or taking advantage of what's going on. And the camper was a huge problem, and my neighbor Mike can attest to that.
Well, the camper's a code enforcement violation.
Yeah,
If
it's 75 feet with the camper and the truck.
they're not allowed, I'm 90% sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we have an ordinance that says, nobody shall cause, permit, allow, assist, encourage, or engage in the location of either a boat or a trailer, separately or in combination with each other, upon any street or other public way within the city, except for boats and trailers in the process of being towed by a motor vehicle.
Okay, so that's not even allowing, I know in the driveway, we allow for
But
cleaning
it's in
and
the camper.
whatnot.
That's
but-
the 72-hour thing.
Right, but in
Well,
on
the
the
Heinz
street, yeah, I
trailer,
didn't think
though.
we allowed any, I
No.
didn't think you had
No.
any pass
No,
on,
that's right.
on being able to park
doesn't
on the
say
street
anything
except when
about
you were
camper.
hooking it.
Well, I think it,
That's a trailer.
It's a trailer.
yeah,
Is that how we defined it?
I don't know, I'm looking, I'm sorry.
What you get, I mean.
I'm
There's-
scrolling
there's
on my
a-
phone here as we're going.
Well, we have to define it that way,
Yeah,
otherwise
there's
it's
a
not.
trailer in the same spot where the mobile home was, or the camper was right now. It's on its second day. I don't know if it'll be moved tomorrow, but it's sitting there
Okay.
with the truck attached. And I came out to the meeting tonight with Mike, and I had to go around and physically go into the left-hand side of the street to get around it as a big dually was coming up and making a left on the street, and we had to yield to each other and stop.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause they leave a blind
It's
spot.
a nuisance.
Yeah.
and I agree, like I
Totally.
say, the streets are designed, like vehicle parked on one side of the street is still designed two-way traffic, that's a whole different animal. When you've
Oh,
got
it's totally.
10 to 15-foot high trailer and
Yeah.
everything else, and that you can see around to go
You
around
can.
it or see to.
Yeah,
Yeah, even a car with a tarp on it creates
Oh.
a blind spot.
Yeah.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
The problem you run into, and I think that Chief can tell me if I'm wrong, is we can change it, but if we changed it to where he can only park there for 24 hours, and then you call the police and the police come and then they say you have 24 hours to move the car, it then becomes an issue where you have to keep up on that. Like if it's not moved in 24 hours, you would need to call again,
Yeah,
because unfortunately we don't have the manpower to.
I totally
know.
get that. Yeah,
But it's hard, that's why it's hard to enforce, because.
understand.
You know, it becomes a nuisance for you
it
to have
does.
to keep calling,
Yeah,
so,
it does.
and I agree, I wouldn't want to look at it either, so
Yeah, it's
sympathize with that,
it's a nuisance.
yeah.
I think, and, you know, the 72-hour question, like the chief said, it's been 24, it's been 48, it's been 72.
No, it's 72.
Yeah,
I think the
72 was
48
probably-
and the 24 are gone. It's now 72.
Yeah, no, it's
From what
definitely
I-
now 72, and I remember
72.
when we went to 72, I'm trying to remember this, and it was my first few months as mayor when we did that. I'm trying to remember this
I
specific
think,
circumstances.
Mayor, I think that was when Chief Lucas was here, and he referenced to like a weekend parking thing, which is usually 72
Yeah.
hours. That's what I read in the minutes of 2015.
So that's where we landed there. So that's, my point is, that's certainly subject to debate on which is the one that makes sense, but at the bottom line, it's enforcement that is.
Yeah, that's key.
Is the concern.
Correct.
Whichever range of hours it is, it's the
Correct.
enforcement is a challenge. And what I would suggest to council is, for the time being, we'll get with the chief and sit down and talk about what can we do to focus on enforcement on
Right.
our existing ordinance,
Exactly,
and see what we can do, how we can do that more effectively.
exactly.
And then, where we go from there, and we can certainly continue the discussion once we figure out that aspect of it, or if we hope we get a better hand on that.
Yeah.
Then we can decide if it's the will of council to change that time frame, to reduce it, or whatever they want to do. But
Yeah.
I think first thing we need to do is just figure out, we have an ordinance on the books that I think we need to enforce.
Yeah. In the old days, when an officer would come to my house when I was a kid and told my family that they're doing something wrong, guess what? We corrected it. Today's different. People are pushing the envelope. They're taking advantage of what's on the, they don't even know what's on the books. But the warnings aren't doing anything right now. No, it's not.
Can
And
we
that's-
just start towing them? Can we just start towing them?
Yeah, well, we could start telling
At
them.
the owner's expense?
We're gonna really get into some questions about were they really there for 72 hours, and having to prove that. And, the reality of it is, it's community policing. It's the way we police a lot, is we don't write a lot of speeding tickets to our residents or traffic citations. Our goal is to have the community we want, people driving safely, people parking appropriately, all that. So we're not necessarily, and that's why the police will typically, if they show up in a situation where a vehicle's parked, whether it's been there for too long, or it's parked in a cul-de-sac or whatever, the modus operandi for the police department is to call in the plates, figure out where they are. If it's somebody that lives nearby, they'll go knock on the door and say, excuse. And for the most part, I think that is effective. It's like everything we do. You've got that 10% that don't care, and they are going to push the envelope, and they're going to
Yeah.
try to get away with it as much as
Yeah.
they can.
Yeah, when it comes to parking enforcement, we're very reactive versus proactive. We do proactive criminal things. We don't go out looking for parking complaints. Now, if we get a vast number in a certain area or a certain thing, then we can go through and do some more proactive enforcement. But like we talked about before, generally we try to give warnings over citations and or towing. Towing is usually the last resort, because again, that's gonna cost somebody money and their car potentially, if they can't afford to get it out. So we try to make contact with them first, see why they're parked there, and do our due diligence before we go through and just start towing cars. Because there's lots of reasons why a car could be parked on the street for an extended period of time. And I think if you're gonna look at something, that would be the better option than looking at even a time frame. Is it meant to be a permanent thing, or is it meant to be a short term, like parking on the street every couple of days, like he said, because of work or something like that, it moves every day, every couple of days. That was probably what the law was written for, but parking it permanently there for weeks or months just because you don't want to park in your driveway, that's maybe not what the law was intending. So
Right.
that's where I would focus my attention more than a specific time frame of 72, 48 hours. What's the reason they're parking there for those time periods?
Yeah.
I think too, and we can talk about it, but I think a more targeted enforcement, maybe the way to go in areas where we recognize specific problems. Because, yeah, we may have that person who's, and I do it. I park in the same parking space in front of my house on a pretty regular basis. Now, I get up and go in the morning, and I come back,
Yeah.
and I'll park in that same space.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do that. They will park in the same space. They don't just store the car there for many days. But I think if we can focus on areas where we have problems and vehicles, the vehicle that is covered is clearly using it as a storage, long-term storage
Right.
spot, and
Right.
and really focus
That's what-
on those.
yeah,
And
I agree.
Try to work on that, and hopefully that'll move us forward.
Yeah, because we know people see, well, he's getting away with it. Why can't I? Why can't I bring my camper up there? And they're not bothering him with his camper on the street. Why can't I bring mine?
Why does code enforcement not address the camper?
I think the public street puts it in the realm of law enforcement. I don't think
I would agree. Now, what's interesting though, and I was trying to look at my history on this, and maybe Mr. Daly remembers, we had a roundup about 4 or 5 years ago of a bunch of parking violations.
Pointed the wrong way.
It was in cul-de-sacs.
Okay.
And I'm going to say there was a significant effort to enforce maybe 50 to 100 citations. I mean, I remember it was, you all might remember that about 4 or 5 years ago, and we had about 7 of those people appeal it, and the appeal was held by the Code Enforcement Board, and very few of those stuck at the Code Enforcement Board. So sometimes the issue with this becomes, you can craft an ordinance all you want, but if you have that body at the Code Enforcement Board that wants to give that person a break, I generally feel they have, and we have a former Code Enforcement Board member that I know fought hard that night for us, but was in the minority. Because I do remember,
Greg's
and I
up there
remember
snickered, by
like
the way.
responding to the chief saying, God, I feel bad, we lost like 7 of these tonight. He's like, well, we still had 50 that didn't appeal. So the message was sent that we're going to enforce in the cul-de-sac. So I guess I would almost say the same thing. If you have somebody that's clearly trying to skirt the law, which maybe this person with the tarp has on it, I don't see any reason why we couldn't start getting a little more aggressive, maybe citing them. And if they appeal and they win, fine, we just keep going through the process and they'll eventually get worn out. I was able to find, though, while looking for that we do have an ordinance that bans any trucks over 1 ton parking on the
Yes,
street.
correct.
Which I think campers would certainly apply to that.
For sure.
And we do very clearly define trailers. So,
As a camper.
Yeah.
no, they're separate.
They are separate.
So that
Right.
ordinance doesn't
Yeah.
apply to campers.
Sure it does. I just said it applies to trucks over 1 ton, which I think a camper is a truck over 1 ton. I would like someone to argue that it's not. I guess here's how I look
It's
at
a
it.
fifth wheel.
I think a camper is a trailer.
It is, that's what you get is
Yeah.
trailer plates.
Yeah.
If our ordinance doesn't allow, and we confirm that our ordinance does not allow trailers.
Right, there's no trailers
Boats,
allowed.
front trailer, anything.
Right.
Yeah, you can't
No,
park that on
no
the street
RVs, no
except when
boats,
you're
no
connected
trailers,
to a
none of that
vehicle,
can be
yeah.
parked on the public streets.
Oh, and it says
For any length of time. So could that be enforced? Chief, could that be, I mean, your officer?
If it's against the ordinance, we could write a citation for it and or tow it, depending on the situation, like I said.
There's one sitting there as I speak.
That's a trailer.
Doesn't the ordinance say it has to be connected to a vehicle?
No, it says that's all that would be allowed if it's moving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let us,
Just wanna make sure we
if
have
you
it.
would, let us
Yes.
take a look
Yeah,
at,
we
take a
do.
look at this, really focus on the enforcement, and I may ask Mr. Gadlin if he can, just give us a brief memo that kind
Sure.
of points out
Sure.
this is what you can do with trailers, with campers,
Sure.
with vehicles.
Yeah.
And something that maybe we could work with patrol and just come up with a way to really focus on a targeted enforcement, more effective way to enforce what we have on the books. 'Cause
Well, that's good, because it took a while for me to find everything that I put down, because they're all over the place.
It is, and it is all over the place. Unfortunately, even though American legal
Yeah.
realize all of our ordinances, so when you refer to ordinance 2015-05, that becomes 7206.
Yes.
And American Legal tries to make that all as clean and neat as possible, but I'll be brutally honest, when I was looking at it on my phone, it jumps around
It jumps
a little
around, yeah.
bit,
I
so.
spent a lot of time looking, but I
it's
wanted
not
to
as
give you the
clean as
best
it could be.
information I had.
Right, yeah, it's not as clean as it could be.
No, we very, very much appreciate your well thought out.
I was a little nervous coming tonight because I retired 9 years ago, and I had a hell of a time finding a tie that went with this. That was the first thing. And the second thing, my sports coat still fit, so
That's a win.
I am both impressed and jealous, sir.
well, thank you.
Well done.
Well done. Thank you. All right, so yeah, we'll take a look at that and see if we can address it on our end, on the administration end. All right, moving on, you're getting started, I guess. We've got a couple of items of old business. The first item of old business is ordinance number 2025-0-15. This pertains to the Freedom Park development. Attorney Ganlon, if you would favor us with that second reading before we get started discussing.
This is an ordinance amending the zoning map of the City of Independence, County of Kenton, Kentucky to change the described area of 43.25 acres located at the terminus of Freedom Trail east of Wilson Road between Shaw Road to the north and Bramlage Road to the south, approximately 1,800 feet north of Bramlage Road in Independence, from RCDS, which is Residential Conventional Subdivision Zone, to RCPS, which is Residential Compact Subdivision Zone. This is based upon several things, and that based upon the September 4th, 2025 KCPC meeting, as well as the recommendation by Kenton County Planning staff. And you can see included in this would be the conditions of approval. And I'm going to go ahead and just read those. A maximum of 126 single-family lots with the dwelling units per net acre does not exceed 3.41. That the concept plan submitted becomes a binding development plan that will only have to come back before the Planning Commission if there are major changes. The 200-foot wide conservation easement along the creek would be preserved, and heavy equipment will enter off of Wilson Road.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And yeah, if council recalls, this is the bottom line. This is the proposed new development in the second phase of a second phase of the park was approved many years ago. If I recall, the initial approval was for about 116 lots, maybe. So we're netting up about 10 lots. So from 116 to 126, or maybe 118, but not a substantial change in density, although it is a change, obviously, in lot sizes, but we also have different product types there as well. And Mr. Knoll is also here, the developer, if any council has any questions for him.
I mean, this approved before, the only thing we're really voting on is the change of numbers and the shrinkage of lot size.
That's, yes.
Because the whole thing's been approved before, so that's the only thing we have to focus on
Yeah.
is that change. It's the only thing we can change.
Right, we're not approving that land being developed, that was approved decades ago.
Right.
Just simply the request, and I think we're all aware of, there's certainly been changes in the market that have, I'm sure, prompted these, and we talked quite a bit about having another product type here, and particularly something where we had many conversations about the empty nesters, the folks that said, my kids are grown, I'm ready to downsize, I have to leave Independence, and at least a portion of this provides that component as well, so.
Yeah.
Kind of echo what Greg said. I mean, I said last meeting, I live in the subdivision. Would I like it to stay small how it is? Yeah. But the reality is 22 years ago when I built back there, I knew that that's what the plan was, to extend it through. I knew that at the time. I feel for the people. I do know I had a conversation earlier, and we were talking about, some of the younger families with younger kids live at the back of the subdivision where this road's going to connect through. They have traffic concerns. I feel for them, but at the end of the day, like Greg said, this was approved a very long time ago. So.
Well, it sounds like Mito must be a good candidate for speed homes at some point.
And it may be, it may be when you get down to the back of the subdivision, if it becomes an issue.
I don't see it being an issue. There's too many stop signs.
Well,
It'd be a heck of a lot quicker to go out Wilson, come up Shaw, than to go off.
Yeah, you mean
through
the
there with
issue
all
of
the
people
stop
using
signs.
that is people in the front of the subdivision using the back as a way around. Yeah, I agree.
and if people start blowing stop signs, we have our finest come and start writing tickets like we've done in the past. So.
Right.
As long as it's not.
Like it noted for the record that a retired firefighter referred to the police officer as Independence finest.
We are. We are.
Yeah,
And I wasn't clear the last time, and that could be my fault. Is the bridge already completed?
No,
no.
there's nothing there.
So how is the equipment gonna come in from Wilson?
Well, we'll have to.
I have to bulldoze over.
You'll have to what, I'm sorry?
We'll have to install access.
Yeah, if you could, please.
We'll have to install access at that point. It's not like the bridge that is mostly talked about is Freedom Trail, where Freedom Trail dead ends into the woods right now. There is right of way already, there for the continuation of that. That's a more substantial structure. But getting it from Wilson Road onto the property, we will have to, and that's part of the engineering and traffic analysis that we're involved in right now. So we have met with the city and the county engineer. We have a traffic study in the works, which is just part of the process we have to do anyway. And then we'll have to adhere to that, whatever the results of that are. But to your point, how would they get to there? They'll be able to put a temporary structure in, or even maybe we'll have a permanent structure on Wilson to cross that creek, which isn't very substantial.
So you'll start from that end, from the Wilson?
Well, that we'll enter, as we agreed upon, to get the heavy equipment in. All the mass grading of earth has to be all done at once to make the dirt balance, so we're not trucking things in and out. And then, once we get onto the property from Wilson with the heavy equipment, we'll start on the Freedom Trail end and work our way toward Wilson. That's just the way the economics work with the sewers, especially because the sewer's in the creek. It's in the conservation easement area.
Okay.
One question I heard from the public hearing was, are concrete trucks considered heavy equipment? And it was pretty much stated it'd sort of be up to us to define what heavy equipment was.
I think if I recall, if you look at the original ordinance, again, this is another ordinance, so I don't know exactly how that works with, you may be able to answer how this is. But if you look at the original ordinance, what the intent was just to not have the massive earth movers and giant dump trucks, grading equipment come through the subdivision. Again, I know that there's a range of low to heavy to medium and everything else, but that was the intention originally when we did this, 15 years ago or so. And I think if you read that ordinance, that language, there's language in there that specifically states it was heavy equipment in the use of the land development, which would be earth moving, and the grading and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Big trucks, trailers, that kind of stuff.
I remember that because there was a discussion on concrete trucks is what you need to pour a foundation. And that wasn't really considered heavy equipment because.
But if you're bringing the heavy equipment through Wilson anyway, why couldn't you bring the concrete trucks through there anyway?
Well, I guess there's always a trade-off, good and bad. The problem with that is if we're starting the road, we can bring a certain amount of it from Wilson, but when it comes to pouring a foundation or something, we won't have the streets in there yet. We'll have temporary facilities in, but we won't have actual streets in, dedicated roads. The dedicated streets will start at Freedom Trail and work its way toward Wilson, so we wouldn't have access.
Okay.
I mean, in that regard, for what I would consider lighter heavy trucks, I guess is the way I put it. I mean, we see them every day, pouring people's sidewalks and driveways and everything else. It's a normal course of business. They have to abide by a certain weight restriction, the way they balance their trucks, and I think it's easy to point, that's something as a safety issue, but I mean, those are vehicles that are going kind of slow in a way. I get it. As a parent of 4 kids, I understand that. I'm much more concerned about the 17-year-old zipping through with his little coupe than I am somebody delivering a load of lumber, honestly.
Well, we've had discussions about concrete trucks over the years and, the weight of them on the streets and everything, but the bottom line is concrete trucks are permitted on city streets. People replace their driveways, put in sidewalks, put in swimming pools. There's a whole lot of reasons we have concrete trucks going on subdivision streets on a regular basis. it's the guy that has to sign the checks for those streets. That's, you know, I don't necessarily love it, but, you know, garbage trucks are also very, very expensive and are very heavy, and we're not prohibiting that either. So, yeah, I mean, in my mind, a concrete truck is not heavy equipment for that.
I'm gonna bring up something, and this doesn't pertain to you, so if, unless somebody else has a question for him, I'll wait. But this is gonna sound kind of strange, but I've gotten a couple of complaints about it, not really complaints, but concerns. And I'm not trying to say that we should stop building or anything like that, but when we're tearing down these trees, we have a very heavy coyote population in the city of Independence, and it's getting worse. And when these trees come down, the coyotes try to find another place to go. And I've had 2 or 3 people bring up that they're now finding coyotes in their porches. They're catching them on their Ring cameras. And I know that's not kind of our responsibility, but eventually it is something I think that we're gonna have to start thinking about is what we can do as far as controlling the population, or can they be hunted, or?
Oh, they can be hunted.
Can they?
Oh, yeah.
But it is kind of a concern, especially when you've got small kids or smaller dogs or smaller cats or whatever, that obviously the more coyotes you have, the hungrier they are in the winter, so, you know, I
Coyotes
know we
roam.
can't pass an ordinance against coyotes, but it's gonna be something that I've already had people bring it to my attention, so.
No, that would be a huge
mean,
challenge. I know it's increasing, and it seems like we're in
I
summer,
was
not
walking
more
to Twin
coyotes in
Apple
every
and-
county in the United States.
Yeah, and I was walking Twin Apple, ran into 2 of them, so,
Yeah.
you know, they're there.
Is there potential start date to start moving dirt?
The spring. Yeah, it's all up to, you know, obviously getting through the traffic study. Engineering, we're shooting to have the final engineering documents done end of November, early December, going out for bid with the various contractors. And, you know, just seeing how permitting, obviously we'll have to get land disturbance permits and all that. You know, I'd say spring, but you know how things go in approvals, and then we'll have to work through whatever recommendations PDS has based on the traffic study and work through that. Those plans have to be approved and subdivision regs and all that, so we're hopeful, you know, for that.
Any more questions for Mr. Knoll?
No, I just want to bring up that I'm opposed to the change of zoning to residential compact subdivision zone. I was in council the first time discussing with a former mayor the predecessor zone of RCPS, and asked why we had something that would allow lots so small in the city. And what he told me was it wasn't ever intended to be used. It was because when the city annexed Hunter's Green subdivision, that was already zoned that by the county, and we had to establish a zone to allow that to continue for the, I guess it's still under construction at that point in time, or whatever. Allow that to continue is why that zone was even permitted in our zoning code in the first place. And since we're only going with 3.4 lots per acre, and I don't see any reason we need a reduction in lot size for what's intending to be built. Can you answer that?
Oh, is that a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a question.
Yeah, sorry. Well, again, you know, a big mover in any change of lot size over the years, and you know, again, back in the day, everybody had 90 and 100-foot lots. Land was cheap, development was cheap. It is an economic concern, and there's a function of what people want in their home. There's a function of what people can afford for their home. And so if the land price and the lot price is more expensive, because it's basically priced per front foot of land, basically. You have the land costs so much and development costs so much. And then the only way to say if we kept it at larger lot sizes, the only way to meet the demand of the consumer then would be to reduce the quality of the house. So it's a function, we try to balance it as best we can. You know, we are working with one of the biggest builders in town, and they're the ones that really zero in on the cost-value analysis of what people are looking for, and people, quite honestly, are looking for more house and less land because they don't want to take care of the land. Fisher is a builder we're discussing, and then also the Epcon Communities, which is targeting the empty nester part of this development, which is a 55 and up demographic. They're there to enjoy their home. They're not there to have a big lot they have to take care of. They'll do a little gardening, they'll do a little planting and such, but they may have a house in Florida or a place in Tennessee or South Carolina, and they're only here half the year, that kind of thing. And so the only way to appeal to that consumer would be to reduce the quality of house, the detail on the elevations, the size of the home. There's three things that go into the size of a cost of a house, and it's your budget, and then it's the size and the quality, and those three things have to match up. And that's as good an answer as I can give. It is a trend throughout the country to go to smaller lots for those very reasons.
In the literature I've seen, the whole plan for this is to have an HOA so that older people won't be having to take care of their yards anyway.
It's not for the entire community. It's only there'll be an HOA, a master HOA, which will supersede, kind of go a little bit above what normal deed restrictions would do. And then there will be a separate HOA that'll take care of the homes that are for the 55 and up folks. So it's only, that what you're getting to is, again, they all have to pay something too. So if HOA fees are also a factor in this. So the bigger the lot size you would have, the larger your HOA fees would be too per lot. Because you're taking care of more street, you're taking care of more, in the case of the 55 part, which is only a segment of this development, if their lots were larger, their fees would go up, which then affects the amount of home they could buy, or loan amount, et cetera. It's all a function of, when we went through this with the county, we do a cost analysis and an affordability analysis, and that was a big part of our part of the hearing with the Planning Commission. That's something the PDS evaluates, and what we targeted for this particular neighborhood, and as far as size and price of home, fit in that matrix. It's in the documents that PDS provided at the hearing. I'm not sure if that answers the question exactly. I might ramble on a little bit, but that was the best I could do.
But it's really not 55 and up because there's no deed restrictions being placed on these parcels.
No, we're not age restricting any of the parcels, correct. We're not limiting the age. That's a whole different animal when it comes to the federal regulations, when it comes to age restricting a community. The 55 and up is the product that we're building is targeted toward that demographic. And so the 55 and up part of this community will start at a 2-bedroom home. So it gives them bigger spaces, but less room. So they'll have it'll be 2 bedrooms, maybe with a large great room and a study that walks off into a nice courtyard. It's specifically designed to appeal to that part of the population. Whereas a 2-story, with 4 bedrooms upstairs and the typical, family room kitchen setup is designed for, it's not restricted to younger families, but it appeals to them, and that's why they buy it. So we're not restricting the age, but
It's kind of the
appeals to that.
your target market
Yeah.
for that
I
product.
understand.
And that'll be the only portion that will have their grass cut and
Separate
all of
HOA,
that by
yes.
by an HOA.
And they'll pay a separate fee to have that
Yeah.
exterior maintained, and they can maintain their side and their rear and do their gardening if they want, but the front will be taken care of.
So is this gonna be kind of like the lots are reduced in that section, the lots are not reduced in the home?
The lots are pretty much all the same, as far as that goes. There's 60 and 50, what do we have there? What does it say?
52
and 60-foot lots.
So it's kind of like, I know this is a Dries, so forgive me, but my parents live back there, so that's why I'm equating it. So it's kind of like a Lakemont type.
Those are like Lakemont. It's a patio home type situation. Nothing attached here, of course. They're all individual homes. Nothing's attached like a duplex or anything, but it is a patio home design. And some of those, I don't know, I mean, I don't know how they.
Are they gonna have basements?
Well, they're designed that where you could not have them, but there's with the topography that's very unlikely. And quite honestly, Northern Kentucky is just a basement community, and I just can't see anyone opting to not have a basement. But I don't think we would have the lot sections I looked at where we would have the patio homes. The topography is such that it falls so much. I don't think we could do slabs if we tried. You know.
So, for clarification one more time, how
Yeah.
many patio homes and how many regular homes?
Again, this is going to be subject to engineering. I know that the original, we're already going to have we're going to have less lots than we have on this plan. We're just not going to fit them in. It's just the way the topography is.
So you're saying that even though we're approving for 126,
It's just physically not going to work.
we're not gonna have 126?
It's physically not going to work. I've already had this discussion this week with the engineers.
So why are we approving it for that?
Well, we have to, it was a maximum, so we put a maximum in, so the density was already less. We don't know exactly what it's gonna be. I just know that when they start getting into the engineering, the cul-de-sacs are gonna shrink a little bit. We'll probably lose 1 or 2 on each cul-de-sac. I don't know if it's gonna be 4, I don't know if it's gonna be 8. At the planning commission, I didn't wanna have an exact number because then if I can't put it in, I don't want to be saying, well, you didn't put enough lots in. So we had to come up with basically a density, which we're underneath what the zone would allow. And so it was a fair way to have it written. You have to write the ordinance somehow. I don't know how you get it written other than put a maximum.
And I think we do keep in mind the perspective is we were already approved for 116 lots if we're at a max of 126. So worst case scenario, it's 10 additional lots. And it sounds like Mr. Knoll saying it doesn't look like it's going to be 10 additional lots. That's not going to work out. But it's not like we're approving 126 lots. We're only going to get 40 or something. Yeah, it's not, to me, it's not a significant difference.
Greg, I agree with you about decreasing the lot size. However, I think the trade-off for it, having those targeted residents for our 55 and older community, there's an increasing need for that out here. And I think that, in my opinion, again, I don't like the idea of decreasing lot sizes. Like I said, I live back there. I think, Greg, our front yard, we're like 85 feet.
About 80.
80 or 85.
Yeah, I think 80 foot was the
And when you
standard.
drive through there, you can see where it was approved. I believe it was maybe my first term on council. The next section, we decreased them a little bit. I hated the idea, but you can visually see it when you drive through the subdivision.
Yeah, I think those are 70.
But, you know, I mean, to meet the demand, I mean, there's a demand for that in the area. There's a lot of 2-story homes back there that don't fit that need. Well, I would love nothing more than to be able to get out of my 2-story house right now. Can't. But there's just a growing need for that, and I feel it's a fair trade-off for our citizens, for our residents, you know, to be able to have that product in our city.
And I know the intention, like, when you're talking about Hunter's Green and things like that, and I completely agree with you on that, but like Chris is saying, my parents live in Lakemont, and they have this set up with their patio home, and it's really pretty. I mean, I don't go back there and think, wow, these houses are really close together, even though they are. And I think I know it's great for my parents right now. They're in their 80s, but you know, it's very well done, and I don't feel like you go back there at, like, Hunter's Green is what? Are they 50 foot back there?
I don't know the exact, but it's in
they're
this low, probably 50 foot.
Yeah, and they're really close, and I don't like that. When you go back there, it's like, wow, they're on top of each other, but I don't get that feeling when I go back to the patio homes in Lakemont. Like, it just doesn't, I don't know if it's the way the houses are set up, but you just don't get that feeling that it's cramped back there. So it's done right.
A lot of it has to do with the architecture of varying the sides, and that allows, again, by getting someone in the smaller lot price, and where the lot price is the big builders always target like 20%. That's the kind of depending on where the location of the place is. By allowing us to have a little bit less price or cost in the land, then allows the architecture to move around a little bit get some more gables, porches, stuff like that. That's, if you go into a neighborhood that has really small lots and every house has the same plane, you know, and a lot of the you know, lower priced communities that may have had a lot of bi-levels or just a lot of ranches and simple 2-stories, everything's one line. There's very little variation on the fronts of the houses by, you know, we're trying to do these particular houses, and I don't want to say that we'll have one like this, but in other, these same designs in other communities with our builder, Epcon communities in other parts of the country, exact same designs that we're going to be offered here. In other parts of the country, they have, some of these plans have been upgraded to where people topped $1 million. And it's just because the empty nester, they're putting a lot of money down, they're spending their money and get what they want. Maybe they add some room upstairs, they go ahead and do it, you know, they're designed to be one level, but maybe they put the room over the garage, which is an option, or maybe they do a finished basement and they jazz it up and all of a sudden it's kind of an expensive home. I'm not predicting that, but I'm just saying, even though it's on a small lot, some of these designs have gotten really ornate if we allow them to pick out whatever they want. And so I think it's the architecture of the front which is important. And that's what if, I know I've sent, I imagine it's in the packet somewhere I've sent before. It was in the planning zoning packet that showed the architecture, and I think that is what gives you that feel. We can't sell these without, people that are 55 and over that want they're getting out of the 2-story and they want to be in a nice home, they're not going to want a plain looking front. They want a nice porch, they want a little bit of detail, and that's, again, what this recipe, this whole mix allows us to do.
And again, I hate to keep saying like mom, but that's my reference, is all the patio homes look different. They're not cookie cutter. They all have different fronts. They have different designs, so.
And color palettes too. It's not just a design. It's that you might have the same house, but it might be a different elevation and a color palette that mixes it up. Stone, brick, different columns. Maybe one's more of a craftsman style, one's more of a colonial style, that kind of thing. That's what mixes it up.
Thanks, sir. Any other questions?
Well, no more questions, but I'd like to make a general comment on this, on using an RCPS zone here. This is precedent setting, I think, for us, if we start approving these zones, because after we approve this one, other developers will say, oh, right back and get RCPS through an independence. And we're going to be faced with more of these, you know, and this is just going to be the beginning, I think, because let's face it, developers in business to make money. They're not in business to make a good community in the long run. They can make their money, and some of them make their money and leave, others stay in the community and build more, but they're going to try to maximize their profit, and if they can get smaller lot sizes from us on any zoning change, they will attempt it. And that's just human nature, and that's, I think, what we're going to be facing in the long term.
Any other comments? Discussion? Okay. In that case, I would say we have a motion before us, recommendation from Planning Commission. And this is the second reading, so at this point, if I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-0-15.
Motion from Councilmember Wade. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Got a second from Councilmember Fairler. Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none. Roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brinker?
Yes.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Steppen?
No.
Mr. Vogelpohl?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries 5-1. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dahl.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
we're gonna have to take a small recess.
Are you making a motion for
I am
recess?
making a motion for a
Okay,
very
motion
quick
for
recess.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I've got a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, we are recessed for about 5 minutes. Motion from Councilmember Franzen. I've got a second from, sounds like, Councilmember Waite. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Opposed, nay. We are back in regular session. Thank you. All right, I am going to make an agenda change. We were discussing, and this is under new business, so we're not quite there yet, but municipal order number 2025-MO-09. This is regarding some updates to the employee personnel policy. Mr. Gatlin and I were discussing a couple of items that we just want to sharpen up a little bit and take a look at. So I'm going to kick that one down the road. It's not going to create any immediate problems for us. This is just our usual annual housekeeping update and catching the things that need to be changed, but nothing's going to be hypercritical.
So we're taking it off.
So we're going to take it off the agenda for tonight.
Which one is that? I'm sorry.
So that's the first item of new business, municipal order number 2025-MO-09.
Okay.
Okay. With that, we will go back to old business. Attorney Gatlin, if you would, ordinance number 2025-0-16.
This is an ordinance amending the City of Independence zoning code, revising which residential zones list accessory dwelling units, ADUs, as permitted or conditional uses, and requiring all ADUs to meet residential character standards. Again, this was at the September 4th, 2025 Kenton County Planning Commission public hearing. It was recommended by PDS staff as well as recommended by the Planning Commission. It specifically revises which residential zones list accessory dwelling units as permitted or conditional uses based on the table of uses, which is attached to the attachment A, and shall require all ADUs to meet residential character standards.
All right, thank you, sir. So, yeah, just the bottom line is we are reducing the number of zones in which the ADUs are permitted. Pretty much limiting, I think, to the large lot areas. Yep. All right. Any questions, discussion? No. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to pass ordinance number 2025-0-16.
All right, I've got a motion from Councilmember Steffen.
Second.
Second, you know what? Councilmember Vogelpohl. Have a second from Councilmember Vogelpohl.
Thank you.
You guys are on the same page tonight. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Steffen?
Yes.
Mr. Vogelpohl?
Yes.
Mr. Waite?
Yes.
Mr. Brinker?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Franzen?
I'm voting no. To clarify, I'm just against these things altogether.
All right. So that motion carries 5-1.
I know, but I still don't want them.
All right, so that motion carries 5-1. Thank you. All right, moving on to items of new business. As I said, we are striking our first item of new business. Takes us down to municipal order number 2025-MO-10. This is a municipal order, so I guess you get to read it, not me, huh?
Mayor, could I?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we received an email literally at 4 o'clock from the Planning Commission.
Oh, okay.
This is really a 4-year term that ends on December 31st, 2029, not 3 years on.
That's what I thought. Their
Okay.
email said 3
Yeah,
years.
she
I
sent.
saw that email to you.
Yeah, they sent the wrong template.
Okay.
So this will be a 4-year term that ends in 2029.
Okay, so this is, this is our longtime representative to the Kenton County Planning Commission, Mark Snyder.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is, what I am bringing to you is, she has agreed to serve in another 4-year term.
It's amazing.
Yeah, God bless her.
Sure, because we're adding a year to what's in here.
Well, she knew it was 4 more years she was signing up for. I think we're getting to the point where, a year's not gonna make a difference. She is the longest serving member on the Planning Commission, and for the record, she does a spectacular job. And I think the officers of the Planning Commission and staff at PDS would all agree with me on that one.
So very simply, this is a municipal order approving the mayor's reappointment of Maura Snyder to the Kenton County Planning Commission, and as was discussed, it is a 4-year term that will end on December 31st, 2029.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve municipal order number 2025-MO-10.
I'll second.
All right. I've got a motion from Councilmember Franzen. Was that a second from?
Myself.
Councilmember Brinker? All right, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Brinker?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Steffen?
No.
Mr. Vogelpohl?
Yes.
Mr. Waite?
Yes.
All right. That motion carries 5-1. We are consistent this evening. All right. Moving on, next order of business is municipal order number 2025-MO-11. This is declaring surplus property. Specifically, we have got a 2013 Dodge Charger, former police cruiser that I think has been taking up space next to the Peach Building, hasn't it? Is that the one I'm thinking of? I think I might have driven this car at one point.
Yeah, that's the Avenger, I think.
Oh,
that's
the
over there.
Avenger, that's what I was thinking of. This is actually the, yeah, all right.
But I think,
This was already surplus, then we modified it, and then we're modifying it back.
Okay. So, yeah, I was gonna, when I saw Bell County Constable, I thought, how many vehicles are we giving to Bell County Constable?
Yeah.
He changed his mind and wants the other one, so we have to put this back on Gulf Deals.
All right, well, there's another fine mark for the Kentucky Constabulary. All right, so the vehicle will be really
Is that a
relisted.
word?
I don't know. I think so.
Is now.
Constabulary, I think that's right.
Constable?
Yeah, no, it's constable, but I think a group of, the organization is the Constabulary. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Constabulary. I learned something today.
Did you want to vote no because I may have used it wrong way?
I've been doing this 25 years, that's the first.
Yeah?
I can't even
Stick around,
say
you
it.
can learn things from me. Don't be surprised.
I'm always learning.
All right, well, okay, let's just,
Moving
my
on.
opinions of the constable system in Kentucky aside, yeah, the vehicle will be relisted going our standard method of disposition, that's a word. We'll go on to Gov Deals. Do we need a reading on this one, or?
Yeah, we
All right.
do whatever you want to do,
It's an
Mayor.
MO, isn't it? Yeah. You have at it.
It's a municipal order of the City of Independence in Kenton County, Kentucky, making the written determinations required by KRS 82083 for the sale or other disposition of property owned by the city. This is an amendment for municipal order number 2025-MO-08, which said vehicle did not receive bids on Gov Deals and the city is disposing in a different manner. And this is putting this vehicle back on Gov Deals.
I make a motion.
What motion? Can we do one motion for 11 and 12?
For both MOs?
We'll do them separately. Sorry.
Okay.
Make a motion for,
I've already made this a mountain out of a molehill on these Chargers, as both Chief and Gina said, so we're going to follow up and do two of these.
All right.
2025-MO-11.
$2,000 Charger.
So I have a motion from Councilmember Vogelbohl.
I'll second.
I have a second from Councilmember Franzen. Do I have any other discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Vogelpohl?
Yes.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Waite?
Yes.
Mr. Steffen?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brinker?
Yes.
Somebody vote no so we can keep our streak going.
All right.
All right, next we have municipal order of the City of Independence in Kenton County, Kentucky, making the written determinations required by KRS 82083 for the sale or other disposition of property owned by the city. This is a different 2013 Dodge Charger used as a police cruiser, and this one will be by intergovernmental transfer for fair market value of $2,000 to the Bell County Constables. Per chat GBT, a group of constables is either considered a watch or a patrol.
We'll tell the constabulary whatever.
But I prefer the mayor's word.
I think
Hold on
constabulary
a second.
refers to
Constabulary.
Oh my gosh.
Constabulary.
All right, according to the Oxford Dictionary, the constabulary is the constables of a district collectively.
Oh, wow.
The constables.
Moving on, I
As
make
I
a
said, a
motion.
group of constables.
That's phenomenal.
Wow.
That's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
But
I don't
do
even
make
wanna
a
know why you know
motion
that.
to approve municipal order number 2025.
I'm sorry, what were we talking about?
But I make a motion that he can't change his mind again, so we don't have to go through this crop again.
I second.
I don't think that's part of the municipal order. You know what, I'm not even gonna ask what happened here.
It all started with your prayer, Carol.
All right,
The VIN numbers are different.
the numbers are
By
different.
one.
Yeah, by about
Maybe it's a
one.
superstition thing, I don't know. All right. So we have a motion regarding municipal order number 2025-MO-12, a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I seconded.
All right, I do have a second from Councilmember Steffen. Thank you, sir. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Steffen?
Yes.
Mr. Vogelpohl?
Yes.
Mr. Waite?
No.
Mr. Brinker?
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
I'm
All right.
We're looking as bad as the United States Congress right now.
5-1 again.
Have you got something against Bell County? Is that?
Yes. Councilmember Wade, did you want to discuss your vote, or you just want to leave it stand on its own merits? All right.
She can say no to ADUs, I can say no
There we
to
go.
Dodge Charger.
That motion carries 5-1, so while we are not unanimously ununanimous, we're darn close. So,
Good
all right,
riddance to this Dodge
thankfully,
Charger.
I'm sure you all feel the same way. This concludes our business of this evening. Let's move on to reports. Attorney Gatlin, tell me you have something fascinating.
No, nothing fascinating.
Nothing fascinating?
No.
Certainly, Mr. Morcone, you have fascinating things for us.
Oh, yes, I sometimes think I'm a fascinating person, Mayor.
I would agree with that 100%.
So our city clerk and I, and to her credit, she brought it up. We wanted just to throw it out tonight for a quick discussion. Our business license, where vendors come in and want to sell door to door, the amount of time that staff, Gina, police with background checks, we're probably losing money because the initial is 50. So if you're a business, you come in, you want to sell vacuum cleaners, there's the initial $50 fee, and then for all the vacuum cleaner salespeople, it's $25. So it was discussed briefly this morning at staff meeting to make everything $50, to at least maybe help cover the time that it takes Gina or police on background checks. What else? The lanyards that you create, the
Yeah, we have
identification.
supplies. It takes me about 15 minutes. It takes the police anywhere from 1 to 2
Yeah,
hours.
and this is a discussion we've had internally over the course of the last month or so.
Yeah.
At our staff meeting today, we did discuss it, and the 50 was really kind of a suggestion for a point, but our finance director is going to kind of do a drill down to see how much time are the police spending on average, how much time criminal investigation is spending on background checks, and then how much time is our clerk spending on the time on it, and just really calculate, much like we do for security details for the police department, we come up with a solid calculation of what it costs taxpayers, and make sure we are covering that cost, so.
And to that point, I think, Gina, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the final straw was there was a company that brought in like 30 reps. So 30 times all that background checks and all the work. So we shouldn't, taxpayers we shouldn't lose money on it.
Do it.
On the,
Can we also address that in the next Declaration of Independence about that people have to have these? Because I don't think a lot of people are aware that they have to have a solicitor's license, and they're showing up to doors without them. I've called the police on several of them.
Yeah, our neighborhood gets hit hard in the spring and summer.
Yeah.
And, most of them will just plead that innocence. Well, my boss told me I needed this, I'm good. I've got the one for the state or whatever, why, so most of them will say they don't know if they should have it, whether it's truth or not, I don't know.
Or they just don't care.
Well, more likely they don't care.
It's a lot of the same companies every summer, so they know.
Yeah,
they
there's
know,
an exterminator in
like,
particular that is very good at that, yes.
Why don't we, and we just went to press today on the declarations.
But just
But
on-
really, it's the end of the season, so I think the
Yeah.
spring issue would be a better one. And we've talked about it, maybe we'll work a little bit on that too, is we'll do a little bit more of a public information campaign on our social media, even to the point I know where you let council know licenses that have been issued. It may not be a bad idea to just go ahead and put up a post, say, a solicitor's license was issued to ABC company, and then also, and on the tag on to that, as a reminder, whatever vendors need to have this license. If they don't, please report.
It's on our website now, too.
It's okay.
And I'm on the no-knock list,
Yeah.
and they still knock on my door,
Yeah,
so.
me too.
Yeah. No, it's it's the perennial problem. But yeah, I think we could certainly.
I would say double the
get more.
fees. We're doing all that work, I would double the fees.
Well, we're going to calculate what's it really costing us, and that was what I asked, is give a good account for everything in that. I think I don't know.
What's it gonna cost to pay for the splash pad? Figure that out.
I will defer to Attorney Gatlin on this.
I think that it has to be rationally related to the actual amount expended by the city.
Greg,
But you certainly could always use the chief's time
I
to
gotta
do
pay for
these.
one of those.
Yeah.
We, now, I guess the one thing council could do is if we wanted to increase penalties, we could increase penalties, I suppose.
Sure.
So we would look at the administrative charge, and then we could increase what the penalty is for those who don't have it.
I guess my question on the penalties is, what percentage of penalties do we actually apply, and do they pay them?
We took a guy to jail this past year, didn't we? I mean, turns out he had other things going on.
We shouldn't have been knocking on doors.
Yeah, maybe not the best career decision. But
I had a guy argue with me that we didn't have an ordinance. I said, dude, I'm one of the people who passed it. Get off my porch.
The sad part is, like, the solicitors that are actually coming to your door, they don't know.
Right.
But they usually have like a regional rep manager that handles all the paperwork and stuff. They know.
Yeah. It starts in May when
sideways.
colleges get out, you know, a lot of college kids want to make some money over the summer, which isn't their fault, but it's going back to, it shouldn't cost we shouldn't be losing money. The taxpayers shouldn't be out money.
Right.
Because somebody wants to come in and sell.
and annoy the taxpayers.
Right. Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So
In the coming
you raise
months.
the rates, kind of use it as a deterrence.
Yeah. Well, we will come back with maybe a draft ordinance in first of the year, Jack. We can work on some stuff, then our finance director will get the data. We just wanted to kind of put it out tonight to give you a heads up, and we'll put a draft together.
Okay.
So that's all I had, Mayor.
All right, thank you. I don't have much, I just have,
Constabulary. Constabulary.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Constabulary.
all right, I do have one other item, just a reminder. The Independence Ball is coming up this Saturday, November 8th. If those of you who are aware of the Independence Ball, this is a joint effort between the City of Independence and Moon Brothers American Legion, Post 275. This is the 11th annual Independence Ball. It was always intended to be something, an event, a Veterans Day event that joined veterans and civilians, for lack of a better term, to participate. It is a very cool event. It is modeled after a military ball, and there are some very somber traditions, like the POW MIA ceremony that happens at the beginning of the event, and there are some very fun traditions, like the Grog Bowl. And you know what, I will let you find that one out for yourself, but I promise you it's a good time. And it's also, I was out of town one year, but other than that, I've had the privilege of being a part of this for the 10 of the last 11 years at least. And you know, talk about a great way to celebrate Veterans Day, to actually just hang out with veterans, to be allowed to be a part of their traditions, is really a great event. It's largely kind of, it's mainly an American Legion thing. It's because they're aware of it, and it's just so hard to get information out and everything else. And I know we will have a city table. I will be there. I think Mr. Marconi will be there. Councilmember Failer, I know you and your lovely wife will be there as well. We do have seats available, certainly for council. Councilmember Waite will be there, and I know Councilmember Vogel, you have other plans that night. Yeah,
I'll be there.
you'll be there. Councilmember Frans will be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So happy to have you there. We have one of our sponsors for the last several years, Bear Becker. They don't have anybody to attend, but they've donated a table that they want to give the tickets. They sponsor a table which includes 8 tickets, 16 drink tickets, and they've donated that table and asked us to pass it along to veterans. So if anybody knows any veterans that would like to attend, we have a table there and would love to have them as guests. Thanks to our great sponsors. One Holland has been, since the beginning, they have been since we moved it out of the senior center, we outgrew that. They came on board as the venue sponsor and foot the bill to rent the hall. It's at St. Barb's over on Turkey Foot, the Sterling Event Center. Dr. Peter over here, Dr. Peters he is a veteran himself, and he stepped up, I think he might have been in the first year as the bar sponsor, which is a significant, about a $500 sponsorship. And I reached out to him again this year, and without question, absolutely, he's happy to do it. So it is a really cool event. I would encourage people. I know it's kind of last minute, but if you don't have plans on Saturday, I would please consider it. It is all of the proceeds go to the benefit of the American Legion. The goal is an American Legion post. Our Post 275 has been in Independence since 1947, I believe. They've spent most of that time meeting at the Kenton County Courthouse. They've never had a home. it didn't necessarily, when we planned the first one, and maybe isn't filling the coffers for a home, but it does support the many great activities they do. And the thing about, if you don't know this about veterans organizations, the great activities they do are generally supporting the community. Moon Brothers are out cleaning up the 4-lane a couple of times a year, and just a variety of things. So, you know, by supporting them, not only are you supporting the veterans that we owe so much to, but in fact, you're probably supporting our community. So please consider the Independence Ball. Again, it is Saturday, starts at 6 o'clock. Tickets, I believe, are $40. Yeah, $40 a person. That includes 2 drink tickets, wonderful dinner, and just a great time. So hope to see you all there. That is all I have, other than constabulary. Anything from council? I thought that would shut you down. Do we have any need for executive session?
No.
All right.
I
In
make
that
a
case-
motion to adjourn.
Motion from Councilmember Franzen, second from Councilmember Wayne. Just out of curiosity, Madam Clerk, let's do a roll call vote on this one. I want to see where it lands.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Waite?
Yes.
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brinker?
Yes.
Mr. Steppen?
Greg, you gotta vote no.
Got to vote no, man.
All right. I always do that. Somebody else has to do it.
That is unanimous. We are adjourned.
This is the only one in the state of Kentucky.
Oh, no way.